Hello and welcome to Pugsley Crew Reviews. This is episode 2, and today we have Kerr 9000 with us again.
Oh, yeah.
As I said last time, Kerr will be here regularly. So this last week Kerr picked the film. This week I'm picking the film. Well, picked the film, and then from there on it'll be whoever is a guest will pick the film. Most of the time. Anyway, the film I chose was a film called Cool World. It is like an animated live action film in the think of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that style of film. And it came out in 1992. I'm not sure. I remember reading something about it being by someone to do with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So, do you know much about the film yourself, Kerr?
It came out 4 years after Roger Rabbit, and I know a lot of people sort of claim that it was a Roger Rabbit ripoff, which I don't think's really fair.
No, I don't
And
think it's anything like Roger Rabbit, to be
no, not
honest.
really. It's connected to, I'm probably saying his name wrong, although I've tried it a lot of times, Ralph Bakshi, who's
Yeah,
known for doing the 1978 animated Lord of the Rings, as well as a whole bunch of other animation, but that's, a big one that's been on TV a lot.
yeah.
And I know originally when he came up with the idea for it, it was going to be a horror film.
All right. That'd have been more interesting.
Yeah, it was when Kim Basinger came on board, her and some of the various producers and upper people basically wanted to hit more of a PG market.
Yeah.
Apparently, she wanted to show it to kids in hospital, which I find particularly weird if you've watched this film.
Yes, the film is when I was looking on Internet Movie Database, I saw it was rated a 12. I was surprised by that because there's quite a lot of swearing.
Yeah.
While you don't see anything graphic, you do see an animated character having sex
Well, the whole
with a
plot's
person.
essentially about sex,
Yeah,
so it's
the whole plot is about sex, so it's quite surprising you'd want to show that to children in hospitals. I was genuinely shocked that it was a 12 because I'm pretty sure Hollywood as her name is calls people needle dick and pencil dick quite a few
yeah.
times, as well as I'm saying shit and whatever else. It's like I think maybe because it's animated, some of it is that got away with some of the things they did.
Probably, yeah. I mean, my favourite line in the whole film, spoken by Brad Pitt, is if you break it, I'll slap you around and make you piss like a puppy. I don't know why, but that'd be in hysterics.
Yeah,
That's got to
yeah,
be in the list of greatest movie lines of all time.
yeah. It's pretty out there line. I guess he's gonna make them sit to pee. I don't know. But yeah, what did you think of the film then? Like, it's obviously it starts off quite different to what I expected. Like, it looks like Brad Pitt, whose name I forget because I'm an awful person in the film. Like, I obviously remembered his actual name because I just said it. But Brad Pitt comes home from what seems like World War II, and then says to his mother, "Oh, come on my new motorbike that I've got. Look at my surprise." And she's like, "Oh, you need to be really careful on it." And then literally a minute later, he crashes, his mother dies, and he teleports into a cartoon world.
Yeah, I mean, that was some pretty quick foreshadowing, wasn't it? Oh, be careful. And then a couple of minutes later, dead.
Yeah. Be careful on your bike. I'll be careful, Mom. Oh, but yeah, you're dead. And to be fair, it wasn't his fault. I think the people in the car that were driving were pissed.
Yeah. Uh, I think Brad Pitt's name in it's Frank, but they just call him Detective all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
But weirdly, I'm pretty sure Bakshi wanted Brad Pitt to be the Jack Deebs character,
All right.
the comic book artist.
Yeah.
Whereas I can't think of him being anything other than the copper because I thought he was great in that role. To me, he was
Yeah.
the highlight of the film,
Yeah, I would agree.
and I think you can tell from watching this that he was on for good things if some of the other cast weren't.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, the actual, I can't remember the guy's real name, the comic guy. You actually seen him in quite a few things.
He's one of them people who I instantly know when I see him, but I could not tell you his name. But
Yeah.
like you said, he's in a lot of stuff, and you're like, oh, it's him.
Yeah. It's like that sometimes, isn't it? Oh, look, what's his face in the film again? I've seen him in lots of films, what's his face? That kind of thing.
What did you think to Kim Basinger's acting?
Basically shit.
I
Yeah.
think she won it, but I know she was nominated for a Golden Raspberry for it. I'm pretty sure she won it. I
Yeah.
think she won it with somebody from another film.
I think, I'm not sure. I can't think of any films I've seen her in other than this. Honestly, I can't, even though I'm pretty sure she was really big back in the day. But for me, it was simple fact, the acting seemed to be very over the top. She was very over the top, especially when she was doing voice acting as the
Yeah.
animated version of her. She seemed to overpronounce things, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think there were some bits in this where not just like her acting, but there was bits where it almost stopped and there were little cartoon characters jumping all over, hitting each other.
Yeah,
Where
I
it
didn't
didn't
get that.
seem to do anything. It was wackiness for the point of being wacky.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. Like, you'd have a scene where, like, Brad Pitt's talking to his cartoon girlfriend, who can't have sex because it's bad for humans and non-humans to do that. And like, they'll be walking off into like a door in the background, and all of a sudden in the foreground you'll have like animated characters hitting each other or flying around, and it's like, what is the point of that? And that happens like in between scenes, and I guess it's meant to be funny or something, or
Yeah,
wacky, but it just seems so like random and without any real like nuance or anything. It's just there for the sake of it, really. I think if they put like a little subplot in with like the things happening between, that might have been a bit more interesting than, oh, these things are hitting each other and they're different every time.
I did notice because I'd heard obviously Who Framed Roger Rabbit had all the licensed characters in on that, and
Yeah.
these are very much sort of nobody's just made for the film. But there was one point, and it'd be about 20 minutes into it. There's a character who, to me, really, really resembles Walt Disney's original creation, who he lost the rights to, Oscar the Lucky Rabbit.
Oh, Oscar, yeah. Yeah,
And
I didn't notice myself, to be honest with you.
I don't know what made me notice him, but I was like, if that's not Oscar the Lucky Rabbit, that's like as copyright close as you can get.
Yeah. I remember at the end of the film, I saw like a mouse kind of character or something and sucked into the portal at the end that made me think of like Mickey Mouse, but it clearly wasn't Mickey Mouse, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But it's a tonally strange film because there's parts with that wackiness, but then there's like tortured soul cartoon faces moving about. And you're like, well, that's almost a hint to the horror film it could have been. It's like the director didn't quite want to lose everything, so he
Yeah.
shoehorned bits in.
Yeah, I didn't get that thinking about it, because they'd be people talking, and all of a sudden you'd have this like weird ghost face like appear on the screen and like glide away, and it's like, wait, why did that happen? What's that about? There's literally no. From my point of view, there's no meaning. Maybe there is a meaning and I just didn't understand it. But for me, it's like, why would that happen while they're in the middle of having a conversation? Why would something just all of a sudden appear and disappear for no reason?
I simply just guessed that the director hadn't entirely lost the horror idea, and that was him sneaking something in.
Kind of just seems too random. Like, there's no. I think he could have put something in there more interesting than that if he wanted to keep some horror aspect in some way. I don't know how, but I don't think that was a good way of doing it, because it just seems
Doesn't
pointless.
fit.
It doesn't fit. It's pointless. Didn't make sense. But then again, I didn't think much of the film made sense.
No, I think it could do with some tremendous trimming from my perspective.
Yeah,
It
like they
started
could.
off very fast. In the first sort of 8 minutes, I was thinking this is really well paced. It's building stuff up and getting to a point with no, and then just there was a point 40 minutes in when I suddenly felt bored for a little bit.
Yeah,
And I thought what started out with great pacing has kind of stumbled a bit.
yeah. I think when I started watching, I watched it with the missus, and when I started watching, I don't know her opinion. When I started watching, I was like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be too bad, and then it got worse. Like
Yeah.
after the comic guy ended up in the other world, it seemed to just go on a massive downward spiral from there. Before that, I was thinking, oh, maybe this could be some interesting thing where this guy is coming to terms with being in a new world, in the cool world.
Yeah.
No, we just got this weird batshit story that made no sense. And the end, I'm not talking specifically about the ending, but the end bit where the comic book guy becomes some kind of hero. And
Yeah, that
he
didn't
seems to start
feel like
going nuts,
it.
murdering. Like I know he's stopping the things from like doing whatever evil shit they were trying to do, but he seems to start going nuts and like carried away because he starts smashing his head into on the floor repeatedly, and he's like, it's like
He
what the
crushes
hell?
them, doesn't he? And the ink's running down his hands like blood, and he's looking at it like he's nuts.
Yeah. Maybe that was the horror aspect. Maybe that's what they wanted. A
Well,
superhero goes on a rampage after being nice for 5 minutes. Because like he was put in jail for murdering his wife's lover, according
Yeah.
to the film early on. So clearly he's got a bit of a screw loose, so to speak.
Well, I thought that there's a bit in the first 25 minutes when he's in the comic book store and everybody's going up to him and getting him to sign stuff. And then there's
Yeah.
this tubby guy that starts asking him, "Why don't you do a book on the guy you killed who banged your wife?"
Yeah.
And to me, that, suddenly a nice thing went mean spirited. But I thought that felt quite modern because it felt like the way how we have famous people now, and you've had them where they've hugged members of the public and wrote letters, and they've done quite nice things. And then there's always some asshole who harasses them or accuses them or something, and then they like almost have to distance themselves. And that felt to me like just an example of showing the assholeness that famous people have to put up with. I thought, I wonder whether that's a message from the director about some crazy fan he's had or something.
Yeah, it could be, but then again, he just got out of prison after a long stretch, so and he was doing his
Yeah.
comic work in prison, from prison, from the looks of it. So I genuinely think he actually did do that. Maybe he's the thing saying sometimes people get away with too much. I don't know.
But I mean, I think with him being your hero, I'd have somehow set it up that just make it more sympathetic that he killed the guy. It was in self-defense, or it wasn't him and he got done for it.
Exactly, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be not him who did it, but someone from the cool world.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's how it all link up. That would have kind of brought the story closer together, I guess, instead of it just being he wants to hump what he thinks he created, which is a bit like, that's weird.
there's a lot of weird threads that don't quite go anywhere. It's like he thinks he created a cool world. He's got famous off creating cool world. He's had money off it. He's got fandom and all that, but he didn't actually create it. So you're like thinking, well, did she put those dreams in his head to make him start writing it to get his attention? Probably, but you could have explained that.
Yeah, it's no, I'm not sure there because it, like Brad Pitt's character does say like, oh, is he just here on a dream again? So I think maybe sometimes people get there through dreams. Maybe I don't know because they said other people have come here, but none of them have been crazy enough to actually get with that woman. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's either something she's doing or people just happen upon there and she's trying to get away with them because she wants to go to the real world. Because in the real world, when you do it, you actually do it. That's one of the lines she says. When when you do it with a man, you actually do it. I was like, what?
Well, that made me think. I mean, obviously, yeah, these cartoon characters have pianos and safes dropped on their head and it doesn't kill them. But it sort of makes it sound like they don't feel anything at all. Like they're sensationless.
Yeah, it does seem that way. The way she seems to be is the case. But then with the Brad Pitt's girlfriend cartoon, that doesn't seem to be the case. She seems to be like the complete opposite. So I don't know if it's just her or if it's bad writing. I'm going to go with the latter.
Well, yeah, because Brad Pitt seems happy when he's dead and become a cartoon, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Seems like he's been made and he's got all his dreams come true.
Yeah, he's like, finally, we can do it. That's funny though, because after he dies and comes back as an animated character, what is it? Tunes for Doodles and Noids.
Yeah,
I'm assuming humanoid.
must be. Yeah,
Maybe, I don't know, but it's like, oh, when you were back in the real world, did you do it? Was you doing it out in the real world? And he's like, no. It's like, is that all this film is about? Is sex? Because it really did seem that way. But yeah, 1 second. What did you think of the film, love? Absolute tripe, she said. Was there anything good about her? No.
Oh. My missus didn't watch it. She watched the trailer. I goes, do you want to watch it with me? She said, I don't know. I'll watch the trailer. She watched the trailer and went, no, you watch it.
Well, I said to the missus, oh yeah, I'm going to watch a film. You can watch it with me because, we watch films together. And the look I just got, I'm thinking she's thinking, don't fucking ask me to watch a film with you again. The thing is I can't really think of like really good parts of the film. There's nothing really positive from it because it's like a bit of a slog. The animation itself is quite good, but I'm guessing it's like a lower budget film or something than something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because I think that's I don't know if superimposed is the right term, but that seems to integrate itself into the world better than they do in this.
Well, I noticed apart from towards the end, this is very much the backwards version of Roger Rabbit in that it's nearly all in the cartoon with people on top of the cartoon, whereas a lot of Roger Rabbit is cartoon characters manoeuvring around the real world.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that was to do with it being easier. And also, apart from the odd little bit, it's mostly like one human walking around a cartoon environment.
Yeah, I think there's one scene where both Brad Pitt and Comic Guy are in the same area, in the
when he
animated world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, don't go having sex with her. Sex is not something you don't do because it can destroy the world or something like that. And he's like, okay, I won't. And then he comes back 2 minutes later and does a.
Yeah, he didn't put on much of a struggle, did he, when he was told it'd destroy the world?
My missus said it's definitely not suitable for a 12-year-old.
No, I don't think it is.
No. Especially, I know you don't see anything specifically, don't see any nudity or anything, but it's clear as day that Holly is riding the Comic Guy whilst mourning and stuff, and clearly having an orgasm while she's doing it. So, yeah, that is a definite. If that was in I think if that was a full live action thing, that wouldn't have been rated 12.
No way. The other thing that got me was when the little, I don't know if you call him a goblin baby cartoon or whatever he is, they were being chased by the police, and he climbs on a giant purple hand out the top of the car and starts peeing in all the police's face and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. That was quite funny, actually.
Yeah. Well, I found out I was doing a tiny bit of reading around it,
Okay.
and apparently that was cut out of a lot of TV edits and stuff of the film, and they cut straight to that car being hit by the train because that was deemed too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I suppose you can't cut the riding him out because that's central to the plot, but probably not the
Hmm.
worst thing in it, and yet it was cut from some.
Yeah. Crazy. Uh, One other thing that was very funny was not funny, haha, funny, but just funny in the sense of a bit weird, is when Comic Guy comes to the world for the first time in the film. It seems like he's been going back and forth there already, maybe. And he goes there, and one of the weird like gang kids, women people, is like climbs in all his clothes, and she's like all horny, like, "Oh, I wanna have fun with you." And then she pops out of his head, out of his collar, kisses him in the face. Then he like tries pushing her off, and then she pops out of his fly in his freaking
Yeah.
trousers, and it's like, what the fuck?
That was weird.
Actually, no, that was quite funny, popping out of the fly. But I think the film is some sort of I don't know. Maybe it's a thing to say to people, stop fantasizing over cartoons,
Well, maybe so.
or stop having sex unless you're married or something. I don't fucking know, but it seems a bit like anti-sex whilst also being really horny. I think
You
that
just
anyway.
can't believe it's from the same guy that did the animated Lord of the Rings. It's That's one of my favourite films, the animated Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Probably because it used to go on every Christmas, and
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, but don't think it's same kind of film, really.
no. I've
But
got some vague memories of some of Bakshi's other stuff. He did something which was wizards fighting, and I'm pretty sure he did the animated version of that cartoon cat that's all about sex. Fritz the Cat.
I recognize the name.
It was a really old, like, I'm going to say comic strip type book. And I think apparently he got in touch with the author and asked to make, can I make film versions of this?
All right,
But I
fair
think that'd
enough.
be one of the first things he did, I think.
Yeah. Did he do much after this? Or
No, I
did he
don't think
kill
he
his
did a lot.
career?
I know he's retired now, but he does art and he sells his art on eBay.
Oh, nice.
And I think he's been to a few comic conventions and stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, the art itself isn't bad. Like, I think the animation and the art itself is actually pretty good, for the most part. I just think that some of the scenes with the animated characters doing silly things, the weird ghost soul things flapping about every so often, and I think the way the film like has a person and animated stuff together doesn't quite gel right. Like when they like I found in Roger Rabbit when like say there's a point I think where Jessica Rabbit grabs um the detective guy whose name I forgot grabs him.
Bob Hoskins?
Uh
Is it Bob Hoskins?
it's Bob
The
Hoskins,
actor?
yeah, the actor's Bob
Yeah.
Hoskins. I can't remember the character. Like when she grabs him, it looks like someone's grabbing him, whereas in this, it looks like bad green screen.
Yeah, everything looks like on different panels pushed up against each other,
Yeah, it doesn't
not
look
really
right.
touching.
Yeah. So, do you have any final thoughts before we end?
I just think it really does smell of a film that got ruined by having people up top who are, holding the money strings, making bad decisions and pushing it around. And I do think if it got left to the original guy's idea, it probably would have been a better film. And heck, if
Yeah.
I'd have been watching the dailies of this and I'd seen some of the acting, I'd have massively increased Brad Pitt's role, and I probably would have pushed Kim Basinger's role down as much as possible.
Yeah. It wasn't good, was it?
No, I
Yeah.
think Brad Pitt's the only one to come out of it looking good.
Yeah. I didn't mind Nails. He was funny. And he got stuck in a pen. Bit of foreshadowing. See what this pen can do? And then later on, she sucks him up with a pen. Yeah. But for me, I would say my final thoughts on this is it's not very good. There's not much to like about it. The animation's decent enough in and of itself, but it doesn't mesh well with the actual live action stuff. And also, like, the most memorable thing for this film for me is like weird stuff happening for no fucking reason. Why? It's just mind-boggling that they've just slapped shit there for the sake of it.
It's like in TV when you've got an episode that's got to fill 45 minutes of runtime and there's like 10 minutes of rubbish to pad it out. This film feels like that. This film feels like it should have been an hour and 20 minutes, but we pumped it to, I think it's nearly 2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's about an hour and 50 minutes, something like that. Around that.
So it just feels like there's 30 minutes of tacked on rubbish in chunks.
Yeah. Like I said, if there was like a funny little ongoing story there, I think that would have been quite fun. But for it to just be random, wacky shite, kind of, it's just not for me. Would you recommend this film to anyone?
The only people I'd recommend it to is if you're interested in the director, you've seen stuff like his Lord of the Rings and you want to see more of it, or if you're a big Brad Pitt fan and you want to see stuff he's done sort of earlier in his career. But other than that, no, not really. Or unless you're just a film buff who likes to watch everything.
Yeah. You know what? I would recommend this film to I don't like. Other than that, I would tell everyone else to avoid it. So if I say to you, hey, we should watch Cool World, it's cool, then you know I don't like you. But yeah, that is going to be us. We will be back in a fortnight. We will try and get a guest on with another film, which they will choose, and we will go from there. But thank you very much again, Kerr, for taking part. It's been a pleasure, as always, man.
Thank you for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, it's wonderful, man. And with that, I will say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I'll slap you around, make you piss like a puppy.